what we're saying hip-hop is in the way it looks now versus the way it looks in the 80s, so on and so forth. It's all of these other elements. And one in which in particular I think would be helpful to talk about is also these dudes in the suits and the way in which because they always stay abstract in the conversation. We'll sit around and talk everything about what's happening in hip-hop, and the dudes that have the real power, the dudes who actually say who gets a record deal or not, the dudes who actually say that what record gets played on what day, at what time, the people who control that, who technically, it maybe doesn't matter if they wear a suit or not because you don't actually see them, right? Because they just, you know, I would never forget that. Who was it that said, you know, somebody's getting accused because he can write his rhymes with puppy, I don't know what he's saying, calls himself now. And he said something really interesting. In a response, he said, I don't write rhymes, I write checks. And that was his way of like, it's like, dude, you can't even make a comment on whether I wrote it or not. It doesn't matter. Because I signed a check. It's the way in which the structure actually controls what the culture is able to do. Why we can't hear those other 10 folk that you know that are nicer than the folk that we do hear.
Right.
Not only that we hear them or not, but the narrative that we hear is shaped and changed. And this is what always interests me. We hear the kind of commentary on guns and violence because that's acceptable. But that's not, as he talked about in the film, that's not abstracted from the way in which black folk have always been viewed by white culture in this country. And so I think once we start grabbing those pieces and linking them together, and like, we understand how hip-hop works, but do you understand how the business aspect of Clear Channel works? How they aggregate music and radio and publications? Do you understand how capitalism works? I always tell you, you know, young folk say they want to be a rapper. I'm like, okay, then you need to be like the best business major in the world. You understand what capitalism is? Then you are unprepared. Because you're just going to be a peanut, a peasant, a cog in the wheel, standing outside the record studio saying whatever they tell you to say so you can get, in your own independent thought, is going to be marginalized.
Let's call that a field hand.
A field hand.
A field hand, that's what it's called.
This is another thing that happens. The art isn't allowed to organically cultivate itself because it's being predetermined. So you can't have artists that are, you know, like he's interviewing the cats on the street. This is what I would say if I had the freedom to cultivate my craft.
And for me, that scene is really interesting too because I feel like they recognize in Byron Hurt that they're talking to somebody who like loves them as people and as a culture, and so they can have that very authentic and real conversation with him. They can say, oh, wait a minute, like, oh, we're actually family. Yeah, we're family. So, like, I can be honest with you about what I really want to be about. And I think that's the thing that is so great about Byron making the movie and being a director, which can get really difficult in other spaces because, like, hip-hop artists will be attacked by people who don't love black folks. So, you know, I'm being attacked by somebody who has always attacked me, so I'm just going to disregard you. And I think it's like the job of people who love hip-hop to critique hip-hop. And I don't know, I think a couple other random thoughts I've been having through this conversation, and I'm not stop talking. It's no surprise, like you were talking about capitalism, there's really no surprise at how this is working. Like this is directly sort of what slavery was about. Right. Who's going to make money for us? How can we manipulate people to do things so that we make money? And that's exactly what's going on. So again, it's not like these record executives are coming from a place of loving black people or loving music or loving black culture. It's just I love to make money and I've identified you as the person who will make me lots of money. So
I don't know why anyone would buy that, but I guess they will.
Right. And I mean, you have to be really careful. Like, there's no love there. There's nothing but love for money.